Well, here's a disturbing headline regarding Russia, Iran, and Turkey. Evidently, they seek a deal on a new Syria constitutional body. And that kind of tells you where and who the commanders of Syria are right now. You know, the United States and Israel are a part of that battleground. Of course, the United States in the eastern part, and Israel, they will come in from time to time and bomb any corridor that's heading toward Hezbollah from Iran. But frankly, these are the three major players that control Syria. I don't think for a second that Turkey doesn't have a major stake in that three-part rulership. In fact, they said that they would have no problem of Assad continuing to reign in Syria if, in fact, that he is elected by a democratic process. But right now, they're trying to get a UN blessing. And from what the article says, it indicates that they're putting a tremendous amount of pressure on the UN Special Envoy for Syria, who will be stepping down by the end of the year. But I think that they're trying to place a tremendous amount of heavy pressure on him to accept the trio's proposal to complete the makeup of the constitutional body, but may leave the decision to the UN Secretary General. But frankly, it looks as though they're trying to get him to make a decision for the international community acceptance of this new constitutional framework or body. And you can bet that the United States and Israel are against this. Basically, they have no say in it. But trying to bring this toward the UN is an attempt to get clout and normalizing this particular procedure. And if you thought Iran, Turkey, and Russia were just going to be in Syria for a small part of time, you're sadly mistaken. In fact, all three are looking to secure positions on the Mediterranean, and each have their own reasons for doing so. Of course, we know what Iran's reasons are, but both Russia and Turkey also have a stake in that area. And this article is coming out of the Jerusalem Post. It's entitled, Iran, Turkey, Russia Threaten Israel and Eastern Mediterranean. And here's what the article says. It says, while much of Israel's attention is focused on Iran's proxies on the country's northern and southern borders, this high-level trilateral meeting is a noteworthy strategic event. And the meeting they're talking about is the fifth Cyprus, Greek, and Israeli summit that will take place in Beersheba on December 20th. And as you know, that has a lot to do with the gas and natural gas and oil that Israel has discovered in that region. Hezbollah in Lebanon, Iran militias in Syria, and Hamas in Gaza are serious military challenges along Israel's northern and southern borders. They contribute to a new emerging threat in the eastern Mediterranean. Each of these bad actors is under Iranian influence. Of course, we know what Iran's goal is. They want to create a Shiite corridor from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean. And they also plan on their own air and naval bases on the Mediterranean coast. But the other two players also have ambitious plans for the Mediterranean as well. It says Turkey has opted a neo-Ottoman foreign policy orientation and signaled its desire for expansion. It is a strong state with a long Mediterranean coast. Turkey's military has invaded parts of Syria and Iraq, and it has a long territorial dispute with Greece in the Aegean. Since 1974, Turkey has occupied the northern part of Cyprus, a strategic location in the eastern Mediterranean. Turkey's behavior is also motivated by Islamist instincts. It has supported the radical Islamic Hamas government in Gaza and nourished good relations with jihadist elements in Syria and Libya, both Mediterranean countries. And as we all know, Libya is also projected to be a player in the Gog and Magog war that will take place sometime in the future. But going on, it says Turkey is bolstering its naval capabilities and has even threatened to send its navy to accompany ships that attempt to break the Israeli naval blockade around Gaza. Ankara's Islamist preferences clearly put it loggerheads with Jerusalem. Unfortunately, the Mediterranean is no longer a western lake. Over the Obama years, the U.S. significantly retreated from the Middle East. course, over the last few years, President Donald Trump has said that he would leave the Middle East, or at least scale back. Now, that hasn't been the case so far, but I have a feeling that that's going to be something that we'll be looking at in the future. And going on, it says a weakened American military posture is reflected in that the U.S. Sixth Fleet no longer has a permanent aircraft carrier presence in the Mediterranean. This is also true of the Seventh Fleet in the Indian Ocean. European naval fleets have similarly lost some of their capabilities and reduced their presence in the eastern Mediterranean as well. Instead, the Russian eastern Mediterranean naval presence is growing. Russia secured for itself the naval base at Tartus and the air base at Kemen in Syria by intervening successfully in the Syrian civil war. Cyprus and Egypt also allow Russia use of their ports. As I said earlier, it says the importance of the Eastern Mediterranean in international affairs has grown due to the discovery of large underwater natural gas fields with more likely to be discovered. These gas riches are coveted by Iran's allies, Syria and Hezbollah, as well as by Turkey and Russia. The Eastern Mediterranean has also been important to Israel because over 90% of Israel's foreign trade traverses this area. The gas fields discovered and now being mined in Israel's Mediterranean economic waters have magnified the importance of the Mediterranean arena. The gas is expected to make a significant contribution to the well-being of Israel by providing cheap and clean energy and by transforming Israel into an energy exporting country. That's just one more reason why Israel has to keep up their guard 24/7, because now they have Hamas on their southern flank and Hezbollah on their northern, along with Iran. And now they have their western flank to worry about with Russia, Turkey, and probably Iran as well. But this is just one more reason why the Bible is true and what it said in Ezekiel 38, that one day these three nations, along with other minor nations such as Libya and Ethiopia and others, would one day come down upon Israel on Israel's northern border. That was a pipe dream up until about, 2 or 3 years back, when all of these major nations, such as Iran, Turkey, and Russia, took over Syria, and many of them began setting up shop right on Israel's northern border. So this is a prophecy that has been waiting for a landing point for thousands of years, and now it's actually happening. And we really don't have to wait and see what will happen, because the Bible's already told us what would happen. That'd be that Russia would one day, a hook would be placed in their mouth that they wouldn't be able to turn away from attacking Israel. And these other nations will come along for the ride. And God says that miraculously they will be destroyed by him. So this is just one more article that indicates that the Bible is right on schedule. And this is the world telling us what Bible prophecy has already told us thousands of years ago. But now they are giving us documented articles indicating that the Bible is now true. Of course, we don't need to have their blessing, but it's always good for the world to actually see what the Bible has already said. So we'll continue to keep an eye on this and other articles to see how it's going to develop. But I have a feeling that it's going to continue to develop, and at one point in time that God will place this hook in the Russian leader's mouth, and that he will attack Israel. So that's my article for today. I would just like to say that if you don't know the Lord, today is the day of salvation. Don't put it off. You could die today. And if you do, where would you spend eternity? So accept the Lord as Savior today before it's everlasting too late. And you Christians, you need a copy of my Tribulation Period Survival Guide. Go down to the description section of this video and click on the link, and it will take you to get that copy. The tribulation period is going to start one day. The rapture will take place, and you will leave all your friends and loved ones to fend for themselves. And if you let them leave it up to the world, if you let yourself leave it up to the world to tell them how to react, they're going to take the mark. So get them this copy any way you can, whether it be the free version, the digital version, or the paperback version. Well, this is Terry Malone with the Calvary Prophecy Report.